When we think of the story of the Magi, we usually think of one set of three wise men. But in Matthew 2, there are actually two sets. Both are highly religious, highly educated, and they react vastly different to the spiritual dimension present. Now, the first are the Magi from the East. They're the most familiar, the kings of Orient, the astronomers, the one who make it to baby Jesus bringing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now, the second are the chief priests, the scribes. They're the Magi of the West, the ones in Jerusalem. Now, I was first introduced to this concept back in 2017, and I've dangled this in front of you from time to time. If you've been with us for years at First Baptist, this may not sound new to you, but it is incredibly important to think about the differences in these two groups, especially at the beginning of a new year. So let's do that together. Let's start with the Magi from the East. Right off the bat, they see the alluring call of God and they follow it. They land in Jerusalem asking where to go next, which shows us they are intelligent people, but they don't know Scripture. They aren't Jewish. They haven't been steeped in the stories of old. They couldn't tell you the difference between Micah or King David. They aren't locals. They don't know the history, but they feel compelled to follow this call from God and to worship their newborn king. As it turns out, I think God still works this way. You may be hearing a call from God in your life, and you may not know why. That's okay. You may feel like you've been traveling this road of spirituality for some time, and you aren't really sure where it is you're going. I bet the Magi felt that way. That's okay too. I would tell you to do what the Magi from the East do. Keep going. Keep following Bethlehem's star, and when appropriate, surround yourself with people of faith, and they'll point you forward to Christ. That's what the Magi from the East do. It took asking the religious leaders in Jerusalem to get the final piece of their puzzle. They needed to know Micah's prophecy that the star would be over Bethlehem, which brings us to a great point about faith. You have to experience it and participate in it to get it. Faith is a quest that seeks new ways to hear the call of God and to see God's dreams. The way to enact this kind of faith is to follow where your dreams take you. That's what the Magi from the East do, and it leads them to Christ. And the same can be true for you. Now, think of the other set of Magi, the ones from the West, the priests and the scribes in Jerusalem. They didn't follow the star. They don't quest. So here's a group of people who have been steeped in the stories of old. They know who God is, and they definitely know the differences between Micah and King David. They literally know where the newborn king is born, but they don't go visit themselves. Why not? It's sad to even have to ask this question because it's clear that they're either too stuck or too afraid to start something new. In 2021, don't be like them. Don't settle on what you think you already know about God and call that faith. Don't think you already know all you need to know about God and life and call that faith. Don't let your fear or your apathy stifle your attempt at getting closer to Christ. Faith is always a quest. You have to give yourself the freedom to admit that you don't have it all figured out. And it's okay to let yourself learn and to let yourself grow and to be open to both mystery and intrigue. The dichotomy of these two sets of wise men, it's massively important to me. The Magi from the East are open to mystery and intrigue. They're open to letting their faith lead, while the Magi from the West don't, and they refuse. And guess which between the two make it to Christ? So here's a question. Which set of Magi are you? The East or the West? Are you open to mystery and intrigue, or are you stuck, rooted in an unmovable faith? Answer this honestly, because it'll tell you the direction you're headed in 2021. One more thing about the Magi of the West. They're either too comfortable or too afraid to let faith lead. Either way, they thought they had arrived theologically. They thought they were knowledgeable enough about faith. But what we learn from them is faith really isn't about all you know. It's about where you go. Faith is a quest, and God is calling us to it. This year we need a movable faith. We need a church that pushes us into the mystery of such a quest. So this year, I hope you'll open yourself up. Don't close yourself off, because if you do, you might not ever make it to Christ.